Right, welcome to episode 2 of the Reptile Chronicles podcast with me, Ken from Viv Visions. Today we're speaking with Charlie and Kayla from Serenity Dragons. Um, just enjoy the podcast. We talk about like water monitors, crested geckos, boas, and we just get into a deep conversation about other things. So yeah, just sit back, enjoy, and thank you for watching. Right, welcome to the podcast. How are we doing, Charlie and Kayla?
Doing good. How are you?
Yes. So for the listeners at home, could you just tell us who you are and what you do?
Go ahead.
So I'm Kayla. This is Charlie, my husband. We're with Serenity Dragons Reptiles. We do crested geckos, gargoyle geckos, and boa constrictors. We also have Joanna running around behind us, our Asian water monitor. We also do isopods, springtails, roaches, tons of roaches.
Lots of roaches.
Nice. Okay, so how did you get into reptiles?
So I got into reptiles. Well, the first snake I got officially, I was 15. It was a corn snake, like everybody. Growing up, I was the normal boy running around catching bugs, putting them in jars, and snakes, keep them for a day, let them go, turtles, all that kind of stuff. So then, graduated high school, got out on my own, got into buying like everybody and went crazy. Got, what were they? African plated lizards, ball pythons, king snakes, leopard geckos, fat tail geckos, all kinds of stuff. Then when we met, what year was that?
Oh God, 2005,
something like that. I had some snakes. I had boas. I had one retic, and then the biggest thing I had at the time was a Savannah monitor. So I've always liked monitors. But back in the day, there weren't as many captive bred varieties available, so their survival rate was very low for me anyway. I didn't exactly know what I was doing, as we all go through. And then when she got pregnant with our son, at the time she was still in nursing school, so I was having to work a bunch, and we had to get rid of everything. So we didn't have any reptiles until 2019, and we got back into it.
Yeah.
Started off, a friend gave us a baby Nicaraguan boa imperator.
Nice.
And then we got 2 more boas, and then we got 2 more boas, and then we got 2 more boas, and then we discovered crested geckos.
And then it went boom.
Then it went boom. Yeah. So went from, I think in a couple of years we'll breed boas and that'll be fun, to now we breed crested geckos. We breed gargoyle geckos. We have currently 17 babies. You can see where the babies are right over my shoulder there. Then what was it? So 2023, April 1st, we went to a reptile expo. We're in the US, so we went to one in the state of Louisiana. And a friend of ours was there. His name is Dan Kraft. He has Emerald Coast Exotics. We bought some boas from him in the past, and I wanted another monitor.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so he had Kimberly Rocks. So I was like, hey, Kayla, come look at these Kimberly Rock monitors. They're cool. They stay small, because she had told me I wasn't allowed any monitor that gets over 3 feet. Those were the rules.
Right, okay, yeah.
Well, now, here's the kicker. So he's got Charlie walked over to the little enclosure that has the Kimberly Rocks. And then he looks at me and he goes, Kayla, come here. So I walk over, and he slowly edges back the top of this little enclosure with all these little babies in it. And the next thing I know, I've got one running up my arm and another one holding on to the back of my wallet, staring me directly in the eye. And that's how we ended up with that thing back there. She was actively holding on to my wallet, which, unbeknownst to me, she would do very firmly for the next year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Monitors are definitely an expensive reptile to own. Definitely.
Yeah, well, I mean, it really hurts when you realize, you buy an 8-foot by 4-foot Viv and put a 50-gallon stock tub in it, and you go, that's 6 months.
Yeah.
She'll outgrow that in 6 months.
I know. Yeah, we got this problem at the moment. Like, we're looking to build the reptile house in the garden at some point in the next year or so. So I'm on a really short time frame at the moment to try and get him something a bit bigger.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a lot of work. they're just tanks, aren't they? Anything.
They're awesome. I mean, the problem with them is that they're so dang readily available, and they're cheap. I mean, you can still get imports in the U.S. for. I mean, we see them for $75 to $125 at almost every reptile show. She was, like I said, she was captive bred by a buddy of ours. She was $450. Still not too bad. But when you consider how big they get, how much they eat, the size enclosure you need as an adult, I mean, if you're somewhere, we're pretty temperate. We're in South Alabama, on the north of the Gulf of Mexico. It stays pretty warm here. There's a couple of weeks during the winter where she wouldn't be able to stay outside, but we are planning on building her an outside enclosure, at least so she has somewhere to go outside and hang out when it's hot. But I mean, you're still talking thousands of dollars to build something that's monitor proof, and then have to have somewhere to put her when it does get cold.
Yeah, it's the problem, really. Like, they're so readily available in the US.
Yeah.
Like, and with regards to, they might be, $75 to $200. Yeah. And then people go and buy one, and then next thing you know, you've got to find a massive enclosure that takes up pretty much half your room or living room.
Yeah. A front of our house. So where we're sitting right now used to be the living room.
Lots of things live in this living room.
To my left is the entryway for our front door. So the foyer. It has a boa and 2 geckos in it and all my roaches. And then you come in the living room and you've got boas and monitor and a gecko enclosures and I can't do this backwards, and a boa. And then you go into what used to be the dining room and it's full of geckos
and boas.
And boas. Yeah. So it's a little silly.
Yeah. And I mean, what, a year and a half ago, this had what, 3 snake tanks in it?
Yeah. It happens quick.
It happens really fast.
It's the same here. Like, we started off with a bearded dragon, and then that was a year and 2 months ago, and now I'm collecting. Well, my collection's over like 22 now, 25.
Yeah,
I lost count. So
I don't have a clue how many crested geckos we have anymore.
I think we're somewhere around 40.
I think it's more than that with the babies. I have no idea.
Maybe 45, and then I think we got 16 or 18 eggs that are
still haven't hatched.
Yeah. Yeah. So with the crappies and stuff, do you find this easily to move them on, like in the US?
We've just started. This is our first year hatching them. We've actually moved on one baby instantly. We have a hold on another baby. We did have some geckos called Halmahera geckos. I don't know if you're familiar with those. They're from Indonesia. Yeah, absolute jerks. I've bled more from Halmaheras than I've bled from about anything else I've ever owned.
And they will get on your ceiling and scream at you.
Yeah.
Okay, then,
yeah.
Well, but unlike a tokay, these jerks shed they'll slough their outer layer of skin as a defense mechanism. So you've got to be careful grabbing them, or their skin will come off.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're freaky little buggers. They're pretty, and they make really nice terrarium pets, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Now, oddly enough, we've actually found it easier to move on the geckos when we offer to sell them with a bioactive vivarium.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I really enjoy doing the custom backgrounds. I love planning everything out. We make our own soil. We raise our own bugs.
This is apple juice YouTube.
So I am thinking the older devil's juice right now. So
yeah.
But that's part of my shtick. That's what really got me into this. I really enjoy planting. I mean, the entire room is full of live plants right now. And the last couple that we've had interest in, like both of the Halmaheras and the first baby that we sold,
and the baby that's on hold,
that's on hold. The first question that they said was, "Well, can I offer to buy the terrarium with it?" Like, I want that. I want it to be in a natural enclosure, and that seems to be one of our high selling points. So,
and the first sale, she's actually planning to come back for us for the grow out viv. So we sell the babies once they hit 5 to 6 grams, and we do it in an 8 by 8 by 10 inch tall. I don't know what that is in centimeters. I'm sorry.
Work out.
The small exoterras. Yeah. And we plant them. let them grow in. So they're established. We go ahead and add isopods and springtails. Sometimes we'll even add little red worms to it to the soil's active.
Yeah.
And then, we sell the whole kit. And then, like I said, the first one we sold, she's like, well, when he gets too big, I'm going to come back to you. So we've already got 12 by 12 by 18 that we're planning and getting set up so that when she's ready for that, it'll be grown in, it'll be pretty. And then, we'll give her that. So
nice.
We're hoping to be ready. So we've got one gravid boa right now, and we think we may have a second one that's gravid, but we're not 100% sure yet.
Mm-hmm.
So our hope is that by the time they have their babies, we'll have at least 25 gecko
babies ready to go.
Babies ready to go, and we'll be able to set up to do our first show. Maybe middle of next year is kind of
this year. We're hoping to maybe do one this summer, maybe like a May, June, July. It depends on when the boas should be having babies in April if I did the timing right. So
I keep forgetting we're already at the end of January.
It's crazy. So with boas and stuff like that, I think it's a lot. Do you think it's a lot easier as soon as they lay live?
I think it is both easier and harder. Harder because you don't know how many you're going to get. So average, litter size is roughly, 15 to 20,
right? Okay.
Which is a lot. Yeah. But I have seen breeders get 62. So yeah, that's from an older, mature female, but it happens.
I think the record was what, 74 or something?
Yeah, like 70
right
something.
In there for a live birth.
Live birth was like the record. Was that Vin Russo?
I think it was Vin Russo. Who it was, but that's absolutely insane to me to think that one night you go to bed with one snake and the next morning you wake up with 73.
Yeah. So the plus side to incubation is you can choose not to hatch the eggs.
Yeah.
So if you're like, well, I've already got, say, 25 baby carpet pythons, I don't need any more. Yeah. I'm just not going to incubate these eggs.
Well, and then the other issue that I kind of started thinking about a couple weeks ago is we only have a few rodent breeders in our area.
Yeah.
So we reached out to the guy who normally supplies us, and I'm like, hey, we want to go ahead and start stocking the freezer. There's a possibility that we have 2 gravid females. He said, well, I don't have any pinky rats available right now. So we reached out to the other guy. And thank goodness he had some available. So we went ahead and bought, I think, 40 off of him.
Mm-hmm.
But if you've got a ball python and you're incubating these eggs, I mean, you can candle the eggs and you can at least see what's fertile. After a while, you can see what's moving around inside of the shell.
Yeah.
So you can at least kind of have I know I've got 10 fertile eggs. Everything's still moving around. There's a high. You're good.
Keep talking.
So you can at least say there's a high probability that I'm going to have 10 mouths to feed at the end of the month. But we're running blind right now.
It's Christmas. You don't know.
So I'm like, do I need to stock the fridge with 160 pinkies and just fingers crossed that I've got enough to get us through the first?
Yeah, because you got to feed a baby boa every week. So
yeah. And then during COVID and weird points throughout the year, one of our rodent breeders, he had a power outage and lost his entire breeding setup overnight. They all overheated and died. Yeah. So, I mean, we could go from having a breeder that is able to provide what we need to nothing overnight. So I want the freezer stocked, but I don't know what I need.
So in your area, is there any local reptile shops that could get stuff in, or is it just a case of?
There is a local reptile shop. They've been around for a long time. I mean, they get stuff in, but the problem with getting it is retail markup. It's so expensive. I mean, just a hopper mouse is like $2.75.
Wow.
So it's the difference between 50 cents a piece or $2 a piece.
Yeah.
And if I'm having to feed 40 extra snakes, I mean,
no, it's not worth it. No, exactly.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what parents have you got boa wise?
So the one sadly, the one that we're thinking probably isn't going to take is the one we were honestly the most excited about. I bought these from a breeder who was changing projects. He was in New York. Mm-hmm. I bought them 2 years ago from him, a male and a female pair. They're both hypo. The male is possible super hypo.
Nice.
but they're both double het for leopard and anarthristic type 1. So we would have a chance to get, what is that called? A ghost eclipse or something?
Yeah.
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 So there's would be some really cool grayscale boas. I like the grayscale stuff. I think it looks neat. The other pairing we've got that we're 90% sure is taken was actually a freebie boa. I do nuisance wildlife control as my real job. And my company got called for a boa, an albino boa crawling around an apartment complex, and no one claimed it. They wanted it removed. So my boss went over and collected it, got paid, the company got paid for it. And then he sends me a picture of him holding the boa and he goes, "Hey, you want this?" And I was like,
"Yeah."
Does a bear shit in the woods? Like, yeah.
Who doesn't have a freebie, eh?
Yeah.
Well, and she was an
adult. Yeah. She's big.
Wow.
So she's a sun glow. So that's Cal, albino, hypo.
Yeah.
Of course, we don't know whatever else may be there or may not be there.
Mm-hmm.
So the male we bought to go with her is he's anarthristic type 1 and he's het for Cal albino. So all the babies we get out of them, we'll have a chance of getting albino babies and of course sun glow babies, but then everything will be het Cal albino and het anery, so then we could make snows and moon glows down the line. That's the plan.
Yeah, that sounds like a good plan actually. And with your crested geckos, what's your like main pairings of this year? Like,
I've got so right now we've got a very dark, 2 really dark tricolors going on that are absolutely love them. Those are the primary ones that I'm super excited for. Well, actually, I guess we've got 2 pairings of those right now.
Yep, we do have 2 pairings of really dark tris that are going to make some sick looking babies.
And then we've got a female from Altitude Exotic that's a C2
quad stripe.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to her as well. We've got her
paired with a dark tri.
Is she in with a dark tri?
Yeah, Marbles is dark tri.
Oh, I guess she is. Yeah, we're curious as to if we might get lucky and throw any quad stripes out of that. So that's our hope for there. We haven't really gotten heavy into anything crazy yet. We're just kind of trying to get nailed down, I guess, the basic morphs right now.
Well, the thing about cresteds is no matter how the parents look, there's still some kind of polygenetics at play. Yeah. So sometimes you can get some weird stuff. So we're playing with that. We've got on order, it's too cold to ship right now, a good friend of ours, MG Geckos. If you need some geckos, look them up. They're awesome. They changed direction with their Red Phantom project. Okay. So they have a ready to breed male and 2 ready to breed females that we're buying from them and they're sending to us because I like the reds a lot.
I can see the excitement in Kayla's face.
Yes.
Yeah, they're gorgeous, dude.
We've got
super gorgeous.
We have a few things right now that won't be ready to breed until next year. And honestly, that's the stuff that we're super pumped about, but they're still, sub-adults right now. They're not going to be ready this year.
Yeah.
So the really pretty stuff is coming, but we're hoping that we'll be able to maybe set up a clientele basis this year with our slightly less expensive animals. Go ahead, get into our local community, let people know about us, start selling a little bit less expensive animals, and then hopefully have repeat customers that are coming back to us for more expensive things once they kind of get a taste of it. Because let's be realistic. Yeah. Reptiles are a little bit of an addiction. So if you bought one, you're probably going to come back for another one.
Yes, definitely. Like I said earlier, we had started with a birdie and then it's like 20 plus animals. So yeah, definitely.
And it happens quick.
Well, now I'll tell you the pairing I'm most excited for. We have paired up right now, and I hope she's not just fat. I hope she's actually gravid. But I've got 2 of my gargoyle geckos paired up.
Nice.
They're both orange blotch gargs. Hands down, the most money I've spent on geckos. But it was because if you see this male, man, I named him Hudson after one of the gargoyles from the 90s TV show.
Yeah.
He is the encyclopedia picture for what a gargoyle gecko should look like. He's got big old horns on him. The head structure. he is just chef's kiss. Just beautiful. Yeah. And then the girl, we actually got her on sale from another company called Rockstar Gecko.
I stole her.
Yeah. She grew up and she's got the shorter face like a female, so it looks a little sexual dimorphic, but she's got the horns. Again, the patterning on her, the saturation of the orange blotches. They're both really nice animals.
Yeah.
So I'm really pumped about the quality of babies we're going to get out of those guys. Cause it's not just the color. They are both, I mean, A grade as far as structure and everything else.
I mean, she even has extremely prominent horns
for a female.
She's a bit ridiculous as far as her head structure goes.
Yeah, and the super derpy. I love how derpy their faces are.
Yeah,
like,
they are.
Oh, they're idiots.
Gargoyle geckos they look like they're missing a couple of genes. Like they're awesome.
Yeah. So in your opinion, what would you reckon is a better starter gecko, gargoyles or cresties?
Cresties.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as first off, it's something you can keep room temperature. That's always really nice, especially in our area. You can keep them between 70, 78 degrees.
Room temperature, if you're not a psycho that keeps your house at 68.
You don't.
72 or
UVB is not necessary.
It's good, but you don't have to.
It's good, but it's not necessary. Yeah. They're super resilient. Especially when somebody says a beginner reptile, I like to think of what can I hand an 8 to 10-year-old kid that will be okay.
Yeah.
And they're very hardy. They're not prone to biting at all. Now, males, I will say, especially once they hit breeding age, they can get a little nibbly. But otherwise, for the most part, you don't have to keep them bioactive, but you can. You can really honestly keep them on paper towels. I mean, they can be kept in nice big enclosures, or they can be kept in, the hefty plastic tubs. Yeah.
They're very versatile, but I will say, I mean, if you want to do it, in my opinion, the right way, I mean, live plants, doesn't have to be bioactive. Give them plenty of room. Now, I will say the one downside to crested geckos is they're stupid. I think the entire species shares 2 brain cells. So if you put them in too big of a viv, so next to the computer, you can't see it. We do have an 18 by 18 by 36 paludarium.
Yeah. What's that? 30, 60 centimeters.
Something like that. Yeah.
It's 3 feet tall.
Yeah. So that'd be the 6 meter one. Yeah.
Yeah. So we've got a couple of cresteds that I think if we put them in there, they'd starve to death because they wouldn't be able to find their food.
Yeah.
I mean, and we've had that happen a few times where we've upgraded a juvenile to an adult viv, and we weigh our geckos every weekend. Every single one of them gets weighed because we want to make sure that they're maintaining weight, growing, everything's going good, and we can visually check everybody. And we had a couple, like I said, we moved them into their adult vivs, and they started gradually losing weight, and we had to downgrade them back to a juvenile viv and then try again later. They're just not bright.
No, this is what I had in mind. So when I first got we got a rescue. Peanut. He's just looking at me now, actually.
Perfect.
So my first interaction with Peanut was me taking him out of the box and him latching onto my finger.
Hold up, what is Peanut?
He's a crested gecko.
Crested gecko, okay.
It's called Peanut because he's got a big set of nuts on him. So I took him out of the box and he sat on my hand, giving it a stroke on the head. Next thing, he turned around and just latched onto my finger, and I was like, it doesn't hurt if anyone's listening.
No.
But it's just like, I wouldn't think something that is so aggressive. Maybe because he wasn't handled in his previous home.
Was he tail flicking
when he bit you
and squeaking?
No, he just decided to bite on. And
he just
wiggle. Yeah,
we have a male that he is a sexual predator.
Yeah.
Like when you stick your hand in there for anything, he is creeping on you, and he will run at you, and he will bite your hand, and he will start humping you.
Yeah. But he's biting to hump. He's not biting defensively.
No,
he's happy.
He's just like, woo.
Yeah. So I had him here when he first turned up. I had him in I don't know how this is in freedom units, but I think it was 60 by 60 by 90 centimeters tall. So it's like the 90, the big extra terror.
Yeah.
And again, this is. We always talk about bigger enclosures and not so good sometimes. He was in his little box when he turned up, and he was eating his Pangea. And I thought, I've got this big tank here, so why don't I just put him in this? And the Pangea wasn't being eaten. The bugs were still roaming around eating the leaves and stuff. And I left it for a week, and the bugs are still in there. The Pangea is going dry. Yeah. So I moved them down to a 45 centimeter cube for now, just to get them eaten again.
Yep.
And he's doing well in that. He's loving life. He's out now hunting, actually. So Yeah.
One thing I've noticed that helps when you go from like trying to upgrade them back to a larger Viv, if you get they're not very pretty, but if you get those feeding ledges that
Yeah,
hold the
I got the
bowls,
feeding ledges in. I had it in there as well. And where I used to hide in the daytime, I used to move. So I used to hide in the same place behind the background. There's the foam background. So I used to just go down the back of it. And I put the feeding ledge right up next to where he hid. So he didn't have to, if I've already still missed it every time.
Yeah, but once he gets used to it in that smaller Viv, he knows what to look for. So then if you upgrade him again, now that feeding ledge smells like him. He's seen it before. He knows that that's what holds the food. It can help. It can help him do better if you're trying to upgrade them in size of enclosure.
Yeah. And that's actually a decent point. Anytime we move, if we're moving a snake to a bigger enclosure, if we're moving a gecko, I mean, everything in this room, if it gets moved to a new enclosure, it goes with its water bowl and it goes with its hides. And sometimes we'll even take the dirt out of the old enclosure and put it into the new enclosure and just mix it. So we've got enough, but it helps keep the stress level down for the animal if everything around it still smells like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is what I did with, it was with the leopard geckos. When I picked all them up, they had substrate and old stuff with Leo Life. I put in topsoil sand and then their old Leo Life on top, so it works perfectly fine. So yeah, it's definitely a true fact. If you just put the same stuff as it had before, it definitely works.
So when we upgraded Joanna to this big giant thing behind us, we took the dirt out of her old Viv, but there's an additional 400 pounds of topsoil, sand, sphagnum moss, and cocoa core that is in there.
So she that's like 800 kilograms right around.
Yeah, it's a lot.
A lot.
I think it's 2.2 pounds per kilogram.
Yeah,
somewhere around in there.
Yeah,
and we had to bring every single bag of everything into this room and hand mix it, and then physically go in there and finish mixing it and shoving it into corners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it took us all afternoon.
Yeah.
Dude, do you have that bioactive?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. There's earthworms. There's
we actually found a caterpillar.
Yeah, there's a caterpillar. I have no idea where it came from. There's a caterpillar in there. I've seen centipedes in there. When we were digging out the old substrate, no, actually, when I was digging it out to install the 50-gallon stock pond that's now her water feature, I found this massive springtail. I mean, it was at least a quarter of an inch long.
Yeah, it was huge.
It looked like it was a massive springtail. I never found another one, so I just threw him back in and hope he has friends. I don't know where he came from either. But we've put multiple species of isopod in there. We have put earthworms in there. Mm-hmm. We have grass in there. We bought grass sod and actually put grass around her pond. It helps you from tracking dirt in there.
Yeah.
And she does murder the live plants. We do plant it and occasionally stuff.
We got so much shit online for that grass.
Oh yeah. Yeah. People in like a monitor group that I was asking questions about, like, hey, has anybody tried grass? And what kinds of grass have you had success with? And dude's like, no one does it because it doesn't work. I don't know why you'd even bother with it. And it's just a waste of your time. And I'm like, bro, calm down, dude. Like, it's my money.
That was the best $15 I think I have ever spent.
I'm like, why does this hurt your feelings? If you, it doesn't matter. It's not your money.
Yeah, no, exactly. And this is like, I've only got springtails in this vivarium at the minute. But it does work. If there's like decaying bugs, it gets eaten, gets taken care of. I'm toying with putting isopods in and like millipedes and stuff, but he'd probably eat them.
She doesn't care, dude. You're talking about diesels in Viv? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, that's what I'm like.
Yeah, like
they're too
once
little.
They get too big, she won't even look at a cricket anymore.
Yeah.
Once they get to a certain size, I mean, unless you're, I guess, Paul's mangrove monitor, and you're just evil and hungry all the time. I mean, she doesn't care, dude.
But the other thing is they hide in the roots of the plants. They hide under the ledge of the water bowl. So I mean, there's actively a breeding colony in there right now.
Okay.
Yeah, you go in there, start flipping over cork bark, moving rocks, they just scatter. Yeah.
Now I will say that if you're planning, make sure you do like little chunks of like just little trash pieces of cork bark all over the place, because they'll eat little holes in the bottom of that cork bark and hide so that whatever reptile can't get to them.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so that's handy to know, definitely. So I got a question for both of you. If you could answer it one by one. If you could have a bucket list species, what would you both have?
Oh God. Dwarf Cayman. Dwarf Cayman.
I'm with you on that one. Yeah, definitely I'm with you on that one.
Croc monitor. That would be my.
Yeah, that'd be dope.
Why do we want things that are medically necessary if they bite us?
I don't know. I mean, I like the tree monitors a lot, but that is an attainable thing. Like I could get a tree monitor. There's no way I could have a croc, so that's why I did the croc thing. I don't know, man. Something about a lizard that can get 14 feet and lives in the trees. It's
pretty dope. Like,
yeah, it's like the pinnacle of monitor keeping, you know.
Yeah. See, if I was to choose anything, I'd have a dwarf caiman myself, or I'm gonna say it, a Bell's face.
Bell's face, yeah.
But they're very, very hard and unattainable in this country, and very, very expensive. So
you can buy them here regularly, but they're $6,500 US. Like
that's cheaper than what we can get over here. So
yeah. You can find them. Yeah, they're on Morph Market right now. You could buy one, but $6,500 US.
Does Uncle Mike raise those?
No.
Oh, okay.
Mike Stefani does not breed lace.
So going back to what we talked about earlier, like with water monitors being readily available, and like the price difference between the UK and the US is really substantial. Like, over here, you're looking. So how much is a black dragon over your head?
4,000.
Okay.
2 to 4.
Okay, so over here it was around 3,000 what we paid for ours.
It's about the same.
Well, is that US or is that pounds?
That's 3,000 pounds.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He said that's 3,000 pounds.
Yeah, so it's closer to 4,000 US dollars.
Yeah.
Now I will say this: we have noticed the price point on them
it's going down.
It's going down pretty rapidly.
Yeah.
So where we are in the southern US, we're southeast US. We're about 6 hours away from a point in Florida where you start having issues with people mass producing reptiles and birds because it's so close to the equator that, I mean, it's officially tropics. You're talking about the Everglades. We're only about 6 hours from that. So
we're 14 hours from the Everglades, but anyway.
Well, we're about 6 hours from where you can breed stuff outside, like 11 months out of the year. I mean, it's so in our area, you're looking at a little bit cheaper prices because there are a massive amount of reptile and bird breeders in South Florida. So it's not hard to get things right around us for the bigger shows. So, I mean, I could swear to you, we saw a black dragon at the last show for like 3,500.
I mean, it could be, like I said, I've seen them on Morph Market for 2,000 now. I mean,
but going back to like the normal water monitors like Joanna.
Yeah.
You can get those $75 every day of the week.
Yeah. What locale is Joanna? Is normal?
She's mainland, whatever that is.
Yeah. Okay. So
the breeder, her dad is 7 feet long and 90 pounds.
Yep.
So over here, even like your normal standard water monitors, you're looking at around 2,000 English sterling. So
oh wow,
you can probably get them cheaper if you get them private captive, but that's very rare over here at the moment.
Yeah,
I don't see many people doing that at the moment over here. So
I mean, if I wanted to breed, I could very easily, and for probably what y'all would consider a steal, I could get an adult pair of water monitors for less than probably what it costs you to get one. There's a I don't even think they're a breeder. I think they're just a import supplier, but they've got a subadult pair of black dragons that they're selling for $5,000 or $6,000 for the pair.
Yeah, so cheap. That's nuts. Well, it's about the same as over here, really. But the only things over this side of the pond is like your young juveniles at the moment.
Yeah,
there's not many adults unless they're being sold privately.
Well, man, I mean,
but
what's upsetting me is if you go to Morph Market for the US accounts and you scroll through their monitors page, it is 80% at least water monitors, and it's het T negative, het T positive, het black dragon, double het. Then you do have the T negs and the T pos and the black dragons. Then you have like the het sulfurs, and you have a couple of, but it's almost becoming like ball pythons. It's like they they go to Morph Market to sell the het stuff, the stuff that looks normal but has the. And I'm like, bro, who's going around and buying up a bunch of het water monitors? I'm like, this is getting absurd.
Because 95% of the people that want water monitors should not have them.
No.
Nobody needs an Asian water monitor. Nobody. Ever.
Careful with
I
that.
would definitely consider them, at a very advanced level species all day long. Like, I've been keeping reptiles on and off for 16 years now. And like last year, I pulled the trigger. I got a black dragon. Best decision I ever made in my life.
And
yeah. But I wouldn't, I wouldn't just, recommend going and buy one straight away. Like, water monitors are very hard work. I don't
think, and I think the other problem with them though is in the fact that they're not hard. They're they're tanks. They can take a lot of abuse. They can exist in very substandard conditions. And then you look at the amount of people that have adults that are giving the most awful advice on forum pages and consider, it's insane. I don't want them to become the reticulated pythons of the lizard world. That's my biggest fear with them is everybody wants this big thing. Oh, I want a big giant lizard. And no, you don't. You think you do, but you really don't. And don't get me wrong, when done correctly, if you can afford it, if you have the patience to deal with these animals, they're smart. They remember if you lose their trust, if you betray their trust, good luck.
Yeah.
And they all have different personalities. Not all of them are going to be Diesels and Joannas. Everybody on YouTube sees Slinky at Camp Kennan, and it's like, well, yeah, Slinky is an exception to the rule, not the rule. And
now Slinky's awesome
Slinky
until
awesome.
He tries to pick him up.
Yeah.
Slinky's not used to being held, and he did that on purpose. He wanted a monitor to act wild,
right?
Which is great until you need to take him to do something.
Yeah.
They really, if you want a hand-tamed pet, they have to be handled every day. They have to be interacted with. It's not a normal reptile where you can put it in its box, look at it, a couple times a week to change the water and just keep moving.
Dude, and then you do like I'm doing. I've got a canister filter and a 50-gallon stock pond. That requires maintenance. You know, and you got to keep up with everything. And yes, it means less maintenance actually for me because I don't have to drain the water every day because she poops in her water. But you can make things a little more simple. But at the same time, that's more money. Canister filters aren't cheap. I've got her on a Herpstat thermostat. That's not cheap. We've got, Arcadia UVB in there. The whole 9 yards. So they go from little cute, oh, look, I can hold it in my hand and it's a very sweet little baby to
bang.
massive time and money suck.
She was in a 4x2x2 for what, 3 months? 2 months before
something
she
like
outgrew
that.
it.
Yeah.
I had Diesel in a 4x3 tall by 2 deep for like 2 months again, and I was like, he was getting big. He was filling the basket spot up. Oh, I just get this big rib now. Now he's in an 8x3x3 at the moment.
Yep.
Because he's not like a bigger locale like your mainlands. He's the Kameni. He's going to be a slightly smaller lizard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But they're not all the same temperaments, like you just said. I sit here for at least half an hour a day, just chilling.
She has coffee with me every morning.
He just have to jump out and run off if I open the glass and have coffee. But yeah. So let's talk about which species do you enjoy working with the most?
Oh, honestly, as far as what we have, I would easily say Joanna, as much of a absolute menace to society and what a little terrorist she is. Hands down, she's my favorite thing in the room to work with, and the cresteds are my follow up.
Yeah,
I'd have to say the same about Joanna's the most rewarding. She's the most challenging. She's the most rewarding. Yes, like I said, we keep listing off all these reasons not to get them, and it's not because they're terrible pets. It's because I want to set proper expectations for what it is to own one of these things. And don't get me wrong, any monitor, all the way down to your little Gilleneye. If you get that, when you earn that little critter's trust and you can see the intelligence in their eyes and you get that bonding experience, it's super awesome. Yeah. And then my second favorite, I guess, I do enjoy the Crestas a lot. The Gargoyles are honestly my second favorite, though.
Mm-hmm.
They're not as handleable. They will nibble. And I think they're just a slight bit smarter.
Not by much.
Not by much. But
not much.
Right. But dude, walking into a room full of planted vivariums, all of our breeders are in planted vivariums. These plastic tubs you see with the babies in them, that's just so we can monitor them for pooping and feeding. They stay in there till they hit 3 grams. Once they hit 3 grams, they get upgraded to the small exoteras.
Okay.
And that's where they're going to grow out until we either sell them or they hit juvenile size and need a bigger viv.
Okay.
And so everything we've got, I mean, you walk in the room, man, it's awesome. Like, it's our happy place. You know, you see geckos everywhere. You get to play with Joanna, you know, interact with the boas.
Charlie keeps trying to get me to get rid of my couch that's in here.
Yeah.
Because he wants the extra space. But this is where I hang out at. I am happiest when I am personally at 78 degrees for an ambient temperature. I am tropical. I'm a little lizard person. I don't do cold. This time of year sucks for me. I do not do cold. And he's not allowed to get rid of my couch because
well, now I can't get rid of the couch because Teddy likes the couch. So
yeah, that's our rescue pit bull Teddy.
Yeah.
Teddy, sweet innocent little Teddy.
Don't lie.
Don't lie about that.
No. That's another terrorist.
It's another terrorist.
So besides all what you have in your collection, do you plan on getting anything else this year?
We don't plan on it.
Well,
Charlie realized the other day that he'd forgot he ordered a gecko that's been being held for 2 months because of weather.
Yeah. I'd like to. I don't. We'll see as far as the geckos and stuff go. I really want to get for a pet. I want to try. I want a black tree. I've always wanted a Beckerai. And they're available. They're harder to find and they are more expensive. But I'd like to get a captive bred one first. Down the road, I would consider getting some imports to try to breed and get the genetics so that you're not, just using the same genetics that are already here. Yeah. But I feel like starting with an import is a bad idea when I've never owned a tree monitor. The other project I'd like to get into if it becomes available, I'd like to get Gill and I going. There aren't many breeders in the U.S. working with them. You can find Ackies and stuff everywhere. But I think that we as, I hate to use this word because it sounds so silly, but I guess ambassadors for the hobby, we're trying to educate. We're trying to do what's right by the animals. I think the best thing we can do is start encouraging and popularizing smaller, easy to care for animals. So kind of like what Garrett Hartle has done with Reach Out Reptiles, we get everybody into the door for ticks. You get a retic, but you get a retic in a manageable package. It's kind of the same thing with the monitors. Like, you want something that looks like a monitor, acts like a monitor, but doesn't require a room. Yeah, Gil and I are fantastic for that.
Well, it's also part of what we have planned for the boas. Our boas, because the leopard female and male that we were talking about, they're fully grown right now. The female's about 5 feet, the male's about 4.5, and that's as big as they're going to get. Because most people the vast majority of people who are interested in getting into reptiles, the biggest thing that any of our pet stores sell is a 4x2x2. Yeah. So in their head,
sell that.
Every once in a while, you can find one at B&B. You can get a 4x2x2. But the vast majority of people don't ever see a 6-foot enclosure fitting in their house anywhere anytime soon. You've got to reach out to or go to a reptile show to actually purchase something like that down here. So really focusing on the smaller things that your average person can actually have if they want a reptile, not these specialty 8-foot long by 4 foot by 4 foot and these 6 foot and these 8-foot enclosures. Most people aren't going to have the drive to go and get that.
Well, it's not even just the drive. I mean, it's the financial burden of getting these things. I mean, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-foot vivs. They're not cheap. I mean, PVC is not cheap. And like I said, if you're not able to drive to a show and pick them up, freight on these things is insane. It's like $625.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and right now, one sheet of PVC is what, $185?
Yeah. You can find them like $185, $145
per sheet.
Per sheet of PVC.
That's crazy. Over here, I was looking at PVC, 8 by 8. I think it was 8x4.
Yeah,
I
8x4.
think it was only like £60 sterling.
I wish.
Well, that would be 100.
That's about 110 here, give
Yeah.
or take.
About the same. Or did you say 100? What 100?
It's like 180.
It's like 145 to 180,
depending if you want white or black.
Yeah, black is
Oh,
more
right,
expensive.
Yeah. Black's way more expensive.
Okay. Okay. That's nuts.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So how long do you reckon Joanna will be in that vivarium for?
Not long enough.
Yeah.
Because the problem is once she outgrows this, which will probably be within a year,
Or
don't put that out. So once she outgrows this, then we are going to have to build her an outdoor enclosure because she will no longer really be able to fit in this room. My problem is when that happens, this thing right here is going to want to put something else in that. Well, we've got the open enclosure. I can already hear the argument now.
It's 8x4x4. It's got a 50-gallon stock pond in it that is perfect for a pair of Mertens. That's all I'm saying.
You heard it here first, guys. You heard it here first.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, actually, I can talk about it now. Actually, seeing that this won't be coming out for 2 weeks. So today I picked up a male pure diamond python.
Mm-hmm.
Like I say, it was like this big, like when I seen it earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so I got to think about doing that vivarium soon.
Yeah.
The vivarium I got it in just a small 18 by 18 by 18 Ectoterra, just to get it established here. It's eating and stuff like that, but like I want to get it established here properly before I go into a proper big vivarium. But yeah, I've always wanted diamond pythons, and that is another bucket list species for me because they're not. Huh?
I said, well, congrats.
Yeah, thank you. It was like you don't really get them over here very often. I don't know what it's like in the US with snakes like that, but
I've never looked for them. I know I've heard a lot of people that on podcasts that breed them.
Yeah,
there's a lot of Morelia people over here.
Yeah, there's not many over here at all. I mean, you got the people like that's do the green trees and stuff like that over here.
Chondros, yeah.
Yeah, chondros are dope as well. I could do with chondro in my collection. But, money.
Something that with the teeth on those things kind of freaks me out a little bit.
Yeah, I've seen the teeth on the green tree, and that's the only thing that's like put me off a little bit. But again, they're not to be handled, so it's more of a looky animal than.
Correct.
Yeah.
See, my problem is I get a little bit of apple juice in my system, and that's why Charlie can't have spicy noodles. We can't have hots in the house because I'm going to have too much apple juice, and then I'm going to want to boop it because it's cute. And I have booped things before. I should not be booping. I
caught I removed a neonate cottonmouth last fall from someone's yard, and I mean it was tiny, still had the bright yellow tail, caudal lure, and I was like, I want to keep it. They're really cool, and I could use it. Sometimes at work we get asked to do educational stuff and come and talk to people. I was like, I could use it, and she's like, no, nothing venomous in the house. And I'm like, baby, just don't touch it. It's like it's really easy. Just don't touch it. Like, you can look at it. I want
to touch it.
No, you can't touch it.
Yeah, where I've been told I'm not allowed hots at all. It's just a strict no. I mean, I think I'm pushing for a diamond. Sorry, not a diamond. I'm pushing for a green tree. If I'm honest with you. But yeah, I've been told no hots.
Well, I could get one, but I'd have to have an outdoor. I'd have to build an outdoor, a reptile room for it outside, so that she's not in the room with it and tempted to go muck with it.
Yeah, over here it's like when you go for your over here it's called DWA license, so it's a dangerous wild animal license, and so basically they'll come and inspect you, and then they're basically make sure the room's locked. There's escape rooms. Or escape route, sorry, not escape room. But yeah, so there's a lot to go into it just for one snake. So
we don't have that here. I can just have one.
I might move to America. It sounds like it's only natives. Right.
With the exception of Eastern Diamondback rattlesnake. So Crotalus, Adamantius, you can't have.
Well, and it's state by state specific.
It's and every state's different when it comes to venomous.
That's the same with the council. They're all different around here. We have councils and boroughs and stuff and counties. Yeah. So we're like every county and like city has a different way of dealing with things.
Yeah.
So it's the quieter places are like, they're very more laid back and lenient what you can have. And we're in Bristol, so it's like a big city.
Well, and then we've got some stupid rules.
Well, that's what I was about to say.
I can have a 7-foot carnivorous lizard. I can have this thing living in my backyard. Yeah. Completely legal. I can't have a tegu.
Yeah.
They're invasive, aren't they? Yeah.
They're not invasive here.
They're not.
It's stupid.
They'll die off everywhere.
Right? They're invasive in Florida.
In Florida they are, but Alabama is piggybacking off a lot of the laws that Florida is doing.
Well, a lot of states are. Louisiana's trying to do it now. Like I was going to say, when it comes to venomous in Alabama, they blanket outlawed every non-native venomous snake, and they carved out one exception, which is the Western hognose snake. Okay. So you can still buy Western hognose snakes in Alabama, but I mean, like I said, it's so stupid. You can't have mangroves. You couldn't have a false water cobra. You can't have vine snakes. You can't have any of these things, even if they're particularly harmless, even though they're rear-fanged venomous. And then what else is frustrating? A lot of states, this isn't just an Alabama thing, but a lot of states will de facto outlaw stuff by putting in a permit system. But then they just don't issue the permits. Mm-hmm. So, you can go apply for the permit. You can do everything required to fulfill the obligations to get the permit.
And then
they're just like, nope.
And they just ignore them.
No, they'll flat out just tell you, we don't issue them.
It's just,
Yeah. So
we're not currently issuing those permits at this time.
Yeah. It's a de facto outlaw.
But they never issue it.
Yeah.
This is another thing. Like we can own, I can own a black dragon that could potentially rip my face off at one point. But I can go and buy, say, a blue Solaris or, Sri Lankan pit viper. They're a lot smaller, and but I just think it's crazy. But again, I'm not moaning because I get to own my dream lizard. So
I mean, I can have a timber rattlesnake, which is a life-threatening pit viper. Yeah. I can own that because it's native, but I can't own a variable bush viper, which isn't particularly dangerous.
Yeah,
I'm like, okay, I guess.
And I think pretty much the only rule on them is that they have to be in a locked enclosure in a sealed room.
Nope.
So, well, in Florida.
Not here.
In Florida, they have to be in a locked enclosure in a sealed room. So it's got to have like weather stripping on the bottom of the door to make sure nothing can get out underneath the door. And I think the door has to have venomous reptiles written on it. And that's...
they have to have double locked doors. Has an airlock. You have to have airlock doors. Every individual enclosure has to be locked. Florida's very strict.
But still.
Yeah.
But you can't have a tegu.
I love tegus. I think tegus are amazing. They're lovely social animals.
I'm not a huge fan. She wants one really
bad.
I
love them. I want one so bad. And it's illegal. I can't have it. It can't even be on my bucket list because I can't have it.
I find that weird too, just about that. Like, I don't have anything against tegus, but when I look at a tegu, I go, oh, that's cool. I don't want one. It's the same reaction I get to looking at like mangrove monitors. They're really pretty. They're really cool. I don't want one.
I want the fat cheeks. I want to be able to grab it by the face and just
Yeah. So I'm gonna start wrapping up now.
Okay.
All right.
With nearly an hour. So I'm gonna ask you both a question. You can both answer separately or together. This is going to be one question that is asked quite a lot on this podcast. So if you could give one piece of advice to anybody looking to get into the hobby, what would you give? Like, what advice would you give?
Research. Do your research. After you've done a couple weeks worth of research, reach out to a couple Facebook groups that are specifically for whatever animal you're looking at getting. Mm-hmm. Let them know, hey, I've done a bit of research. I understand the basics. Are there any tips that y'all would give me? I am X amount of time from getting this animal. I've got a month left before I'm getting them. Here's the stuff I've already got. What else do y'all suggest I need? And then to research into those products. There is no harm in over-educating yourself, but there is harm in under-education because you're going to spend all the money on this animal. They're going to get sick and they could possibly pass away or be permanently injured by neglect. Yeah. So no harm in over-education.
Or killing them with kindness.
Or you could kill them with kindness. That's also an option too. Overfeeding is a problem.
Feeding savannah monitors rodents, bad idea.
Yeah, I do agree with that one. Definitely, they're primarily insectivores in the world. So why would you feed rodents?
So for mine, it would be don't let the community bully you into getting something you don't want.
Yeah.
And by that, I mean, if you're doing your research and you want say you have the funds, the ability, and all this stuff, and you want an Asian water monitor. That's what you want. That's the animal you want. That's the only animal you want. Great. You've done all your research. You've talked to breeders. You've talked to hobbyists. Then do that. As long as you have the money and money is important when it comes to large monitors. As long as you're financially capable of doing it, and as long as you have all that knowledge and you have all the proper equipment and you're aware of how fast they grow and the size enclosures you're going to have and you got all that, great, knock yourself out. Don't let somebody tell you that you have to go get a bearded dragon or a corn snake or any of that stuff, because you're going to get an animal that will be interesting just because of the novelty of it being new, and then you're going to get bored with it.
Yeah.
And that boredom can lead to accidental neglect or just lead to just you not enjoying the animal at all. And you don't need that. So like she was saying, do your research. And then once you've done your research, if you wanted a mangrove monitor, you and I have made friends with Paul Burrows. So, you have the dude. I mean, get you up. You have the, what's the word? The master. You're the apprentice. You can talk to him and you can get all the info you need. So, just find you somebody that you trust that is willing to take the time to help you out. And then if you have questions, ask them. And there's definitely no such thing as a stupid question.
No, definitely. No.
Better ask the stupid question and get the info than not and do something wrong.
I mean, between the two of us, each of us have had, you've been dealing with reptiles for well over 20 years now. I mean, since you were
over
a kid,
30 years.
I've been dealing with reptiles, I'd say for about the last 16 to 18 years, not nearly to the extent he has. I just dealt a lot with, local rescues, stuff like that. Just couple week rehab and then let it back go. No biggies. But I mean, between the two of us, we've been dealing with reptiles a really long time and we're still learning. I mean, we are constantly reevaluating the way we do things, the different types of lights we use, the bugs we put in, the substrates we mix. Everything is constantly adapting. And as we find better things, we're adding that to our care. And
it's constantly evolving.
This is constantly evolving. People that started in the 80s breeding ball pythons, they'll tell you now the care they provide for those ball pythons is completely different than what was standard care and perfectly acceptable in the 80s. So you've got to be willing to keep learning always.
Never think that you know everything. You don't.
No.
Your care is never perfect.
No.
So,
always room for learning in this business, definitely, for sure. Well, thank you for coming on. Really enjoyed this conversation. Is there anything that you wanted to ask me before we end this, or any questions you may want to ask?
How did you get so handsome? That's a question.
I'd have to give my dad the credit for that one.
Him and Paul been hanging out at the same gym, ain't they?
Yeah.
So I'm going to obviously end it here. And thank you for coming on again. Really appreciate you taking time out of your day.
Hey, anytime, man. Thanks for having us. It was fun.
So see you later, all. Thank you for listening. And that is episode 2 of the Reptile Chronicles podcast. Thank you to Charlie and Kayla for coming on today and spending time out of your day talking to me. And yeah, so if you did like this podcast, please consider giving a like, a comment, and subscribing to the channel. Thank you very much. I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.